The two big ones, I think, that in terms of the media and technology question, after getting over the initial no computers or TVs in the preschool, early childhood setting that came up very vocally in our group, we then sort of drilled down to their specific support things that other people mentioned. But the big question we thought people should ask is are you using technology in a passive way, or really in terms of the production and the production process using technology? And then something that sort of went hand in hand with that is also how can teachers use technology to document and communicate about learning, both with the families of the students and as well as a teacher for interacting with the kids, because it creates a great foundation for communication and literacy and developing of other skills. And then in terms of our policy wish list, we really felt that parent education for media literacy, also helping across language and cultural areas, was really key. Professional development's been talked about a lot. And using the research that's out there that supports this, using the media for this type of thing to encourage funding. And that all of these policies, we kind of came up with a wish list for all these policies to be informed by human development studies and child development and what those best practices are, and including things like child health and no child left inside, and play-based versus standards-based, so that as you're looking at these standards, you're looking at both play-based philosophy and standards-based and integrating them. And critical thinking skills, because obviously that's key to early childhood development and all learning, which would be when you're dealing with media, particularly looking at commercial-free and teaching kids media literacy and brand awareness, because that's something they really have to navigate in the media world and technology world. And then access, we came up with, Milton really pushed us for what we should really policy-wise think of, and talking about the digital divide, and just something as simple as statewide free Wi-Fi access would be a huge leveler. And also preschool for all, high-quality preschool education is key. That has to come in to be, you can't do all these other things if you don't have that.
So we also brought up a number of the issues that have already been addressed, but let's see, just one of them is, in addition to the kids learn in different ways, that it can provide motivation because kids are very drawn to technology and to using computers and such, that we can use it as an opportunity to help promote digital citizenship. And let's see, that it's a way of that it should be viewed as augmentation rather than supplanting, and can help kids learn how to make good decisions vis-a-vis media literacy. I guess that would fall under, and expand exposure to things that kids would not experience otherwise, and to help support perhaps some of the weaker areas of the teachers, of the providers. Maybe they don't have as much of a background in science, and this would be a way to augment that. I feel that in terms of policies, it's very important to provide support in both resources and training for the continuation, rather than people using this as a one-shot sort of a thing. One of the good models in place that was brought up was something out of Maryland called Ready at 5, which people can look into if they want to. We're also concerned about addressing issues of access, both cost and distribution, and redundancy, where a lot of different organizations are doing different things, but nobody knows what anybody else is doing.
I think we had a couple of key points before we did our wish list, and it is very similar to many of what everybody has said. But one, that media and technology is a neutral element. It's how it's used. That's important. It facilitates language acquisition and movement, and also with special needs children, the assisted devices are very critical. It offers a variety of learning experiences, so it's to be taken as one of the learning experiences and one method of teaching. How you use it and having the role modeling of the teachers and the parents to show children is important, and selective and purposeful usage was a key factor. We did have some groups where they realized that they were not using technology, and that might be a dinosaur aspect, thank you. However, how we gauge what it is and what we do is appropriate in terms of, like in Montessori setting where there's multi-sensory learning. How do we gauge using media in that setting and the appropriateness of it? Question on emotional rapport and interaction with children, can that be gained through media? The positive multicultural and generational characters that are portrayed in media that often parents and some children have not seen that until they see it in a media setting. And then there was just the question which came up of children, there was some study, didn't have it documented though, but of children who have spent a lot of time on the computers when they're younger and then as adults had a hard time interacting. The question came up, would that be similar to the bookworms of several generations ago who might have the same thing? And then our policy wish list, we did actually have some policies, I think. What was to define what is meant by education. Educational label needs to be defined, just like with the organic or whatever. It's just because you slap on education doesn't mean it is. Creating educational standards for media, teacher training, of course. Then there was the holistic approach of an individual being able to make those choices about standards, so having content listings for media. Looking at what other countries are doing with media, we were told that there's a lot of advancement in other countries in terms of their usage, so how are they using media? And a couple other policy parts were to define what's valuable for 0 to 5 is different than obviously elementary age. So detailed guidelines for parents regarding the use of media. These are just all brainstorming. And also working with advertisers on screens, that's internet and otherwise, to communicate to the users the value of media, because we know that a lot of people actually look at TV or whatever, get their information from those sources. So communicating the positive, valuable parts of media through advertising.
Wow, it seems like there have been some tremendously rich conversations today, and you'll have a chance to continue them and network at lunch. I want to thank you all for really delving into these challenging topics. Some buzzwords that I just heard, you'll get the full listing of all of our notes accessible on the KQED website, but just want to highlight a couple of things, some overarching themes. Many buzzwords were used, but some that really stuck to me that I saw a lot of people write down was this concept of digital citizenship and the role of cyber ethics in the increasing use of technology for young children. And then at the core, every single group in one way or another went back to the idea of media literacy and what's the purpose and where are we going with it. So those were really clear, that stood out for me, and maybe they did for you as well. When we looked at the question of the role of media and technology, everyone seems to have come to a conclusion that the technology and media and learning exists, and we have to examine much more clearly as professionals, how are we going to be proactive about its existence and its use in all of these different educational settings. There seems to be an opportunity that some of the groups recognized that as educators we can challenge ourselves with that question and think about how can these tools really best be used in service of learning and support for the children that we care for and care about. I also heard a lot about, just now, about how a thoughtful approach will open the doors to many opportunities for those learning outcomes that we hold so dear. I will not summarize all of those ideas, but I do hope that you will continue to think about and talk about them. I heard 3 main areas in the policy that came up again and again. One, really addressing the access issue with some real sound thoughts about what leaders in this field can be doing and what all of us can do to advocate towards increased access. Secondly, teacher professional development is key, and in partnership with that, parent support and education will really be crucial to move from these isolated cases of where we see some successes to making this work for all of our children, which we know we really care about.